Welcome to the Feminine Wave. Today we will be discussing conscious thriving, real expression. In this episode, we will be talking about fun, creativity, fulfillment, and a life of meaning. Today's guest is Rima Medhi. She is a leading confidence and communication coach, creator of Voice Mastery Method and the Voice Goddess Immersion. She is on a mission to help visionaries, creatives, and public figures reach 10 times their impact and influence through voice mastery. She is a multi-passionate, heart-centered entrepreneur. She is the founder of EdTech Business, Creativity.Inc., and the head coach and founder of RMLB Coaching. She has over 20 years of experience in the fields of theater, radio, voice acting, training, coaching, and mentoring. She is passionate about empowering the voices of trailblazing visionary women who are striving toward value creation in diverse areas. I love to introduce you to Rima Medhi, and she is joining us today from Mumbai. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Tara. And I'm so excited to be here all the way from Mumbai, India. I come from the land of Bollywood, if for those of you who know what that is. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this fabulous conversation with you.
Oh, I am too. Because I'm always looking for not only for things for other people, but I'm interested in this for myself. So I can't wait to hear what, all you're up to and how it can help us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start off. I've got a few questions here, and let's just dig on in. First of all, what is voice energetics?
Voice energetics. So, energetics is the energy signature aspect of your voice, you know? So, we have our physical voice, the voice that I'm using to speak with you, the voice you're using to speak with me. We have our mental voice, the thoughts that run through our head all the time, the voice in your head that goes, maybe I'm not so good enough, or maybe I shouldn't do this. And then of course, there's the emotional voice, but the last time you did this, you failed, or, I'm really hurting right now. Am I supposed to smile for my audience? All those things. So, those are all the aspects of voice that we are familiar with in day to day life. But I think what we really don't kind of tap into on a daily basis is the energetic part of our voice. So, our energy signature is translated and communicated through our voice. And if we can, for lack of a better word, mitigate it or manage it or manipulate it or I would say regulate it or program it or engineer it. I think that's the word I was going for. Finally, I found the word. If you can engineer it to communicate the most truest, most authentic, the most powerful thoughts that we have and really tap into our intuitive voice and then communicate that, then I think, we will be completely aligned and we will be able to show up as our 100% powerful, full, whole, embodied self. And that would be really powerful for the world, especially if women did that.
Mm.
Because you and me both know that women have spent centuries, with their voices suppressed, repressed, their voices pushed down. And now, we're all rising. And while it seems slow and steady, it's actually happening very rapidly. And it's very important for the feminine voice to be fully embodied and the voice energetics of a woman to be absolutely whole and healed. And that's when the world will shift in a direction that we want it to shift.
Well, you're speaking my language, girl. So, yeah. So,
I
could you
know.
talk a little about and I kind of am grasping that from what you've already explained. But what might be a definition of holistic voice mastery?
Mhm. So, holistic voice mastery or absolute voice mastery is when you have your voice mastered at the physical, mental, emotional, and energetic level. Pretty much what I explained previously. And I feel like this voice mastery is not something that's taught to us ever. I mean, we don't learn this in our families, we don't learn this at school or college. This is something that we discover as we go. But if we made it a priority, and if you kind of, connected with somebody who was a feminine voice authority, and then you sort of really, were open, really open to doing this for yourself, you could have phenomenal shifts, not just, in your place of work, but in your relationships and the way you connect with people in your entire experience of life. And I think, having that most powerful, authentic, embodied experience of life, that's how we want to be living. We don't want to live a half life. We don't want to live at 50% and 70% and, almost there, but not quite there. So yeah, that's what it is.
So, and maybe just give us, I don't know, I want to have a taste of how you work,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and so our viewers can, have more of an understanding.
Sure.
And then also, you've alluded to it, but maybe say a little bit more about why it's so important.
Okay, so I feel like, when I'm talking, let's take different scenarios and go deeper. Okay, so let's start with a coaching scenario because we're entrepreneurs, we're solopreneurs. So every time you meet with a client, let's say you're meeting the client for the first time and you're doing like a clarity call or you're connecting for the first time, there's almost always something that either stops the person from signing up with you or allows the person to make that decision to get in your immersion or your container, whatever that you call it. So what is that difference? What is that 1% or 0.01% thing that is a decision maker? That is literally your energy and how it communicates and speaks to the person in front of you. Like I could show up right now all well put together with makeup on my face, but if I didn't believe in my work, and I tried to use the best possible vocabulary, the best possible sentence formation. I tried to smile. I tried to use like really amazing words, the marketing jargon. My body language was all perfect. But deep, deep, deep within me, if I believe that I'm not good enough and I'm not supposed to be here and I don't belong here and I'm not worth it, the person in front of me, whether they're energy sensitive or not, they are going to sense that, they are going to tap into that because they may not be able to translate it as that, but there's something off, and that person is just going to move away. And that's how you kind of lost the opportunity to make this powerful impact in that person's life, which you feel like you're born to do. So you're literally keeping yourself away from your life mission, your life purpose, because of, not being embodied as a communicator. But let's say I showed up absolutely confident. I spoke obviously very well because I know my offer and I know my offerings and such. And my self belief was beyond. And because my self belief was literally hitting the roof, I didn't have to over communicate. I didn't have to use marketing jargon to come across as an authority or come across as super confident or, bordering on arrogant. I just sat there, I smiled, I explained my offer, I patiently waited for the person to make a decision. The person said, yeah, I think she's the one. I want to work with her. So that's how it works in an entrepreneurial situation. If I have to take this, if some of our wonderful listeners are in the corporate world, we know that while the corporate world is talking constantly talking about gender equality, there are many situations in your day-to-day workplace where gender equality is not a reality. And many times it is, okay, so she's in the room, yeah, she spoke her stuff, but it's okay, we can just quietly sideline her without even saying that we're sidelining her. We can act like we're treating her like an equal, but what does she know? But she knows, she feels it, and as she feels it every day, it grows within her. But when she is so confident and so completely embodied and owning her, the voice of the divine feminine within her, there
Mm,
is no way that she will be taken for granted in that situation. And she doesn't have to be loud. She doesn't have to be aggressive. She doesn't have to be masculine. She can just be soft spoken, quiet, clear, firm, and the work will be done. So that's what happens. And if I have to take this to say a situation which is a relationship, and everyone we know in the world is, we feel like romantic relationships are challenging in today's time and day. People are going through a lot and people are choosing to move away from romantic relationships or marriage rather than be in it because things are getting so difficult. And I feel like many times it's not what you say, it's how you say it or what's the energy behind it. Like I'm really here for you, I'm listening to you, I'm holding space for you, but deep down I don't really respect you because you do this to me all the time.
mm,
That's what's getting communicated. The last bit, that's going through. And then it's almost like we don't hear each other anymore. We don't see each other anymore, like really see each other for who we are. So I think when we know who we are, we've tapped into our most authentic voice. I'm not saying that it's all going to be hunky dory and rosy. I'm not going to say that just because I'm an embodied communicator, I have like a clean sweep. It's not going to be like that. But you will be able to expand your soul and your soul's journey in the most positive way possible if you are constantly coming from an embodied place. So there's two steps to it. One is you feel embodied and then you communicate embodied. And then, of course, things might still go wrong for you, but because you're so true to yourself, and that's exactly what we're meant to do in this world. We're here to be true and true and true, truer and truest to ourselves so that we can really live up this experience of life that we've been gifted, literally. Like human life is a gift. I was reading like one of the spiritual books over here, and you know how India is the land of mysticism and religion and such beautiful philosophies. I was reading that it takes I don't know how many aeons for you to receive one human birth. So imagine the level of evolution that went into you becoming a full-blown human and taking birth in this world in today's day and time. So for you to receive this opportunity, but to waste it by living your life, by coloring within the lines, trying to fit yourself into the ways of the world or the matrix for that matter, and to sort of communicate in a manner that makes you the good person, good girl, good woman, whatever that you want to call those tags. I think it is just an opportunity lost. And we're not talking about like, oh, women's liberation, let's raise our voices, let's take to the streets. You can very well do that if you believe in that. It is a personal choice. But if you choose to own your power and translate that power into your voice and then own your voice, you will not have to take to the streets, is what my personal belief is. So, yeah.
I love this. I absolutely love this. And people don't, I've never heard this before. People don't talk about this. I mean, you
Mhm.
have, I'm on a path, I'm on a spiritual journey.
Right.
And I've learned from many, many people and have read, I can't tell you, countless books. And absolutely, they talk about being in alignment and speaking your truth, and they don't talk about this piece. I am in awe. I can't even think of the word because this is just something that, like I said, people aren't talking about. Not to say something, so campy, but yeah. Oh, I love that. And I'd like to get back to the divine feminine, and you talk
Mhm.
about something about the goddess voice or the voice goddess. Could
Right.
you explain, share with us about that?
Okay, so basically, when you are working with clients, you obviously want to crystallize your work in like a couple of words so that you can use it in your posts and you can communicate based on that. So that's when I came up with the term the voice goddess. Okay, and you can alternatively also call it the goddess voice, but I like to call it the voice goddess because then it becomes an archetype. Okay, and then I can say that this archetype lives within every woman, every man, every person who is human,
Hmm.
irrespective of gender. It could be a non binary person as well. It really doesn't have anything to do with your physical gender because each and every one of us came from the feminine and the masculine. Obviously, there is a part of the feminine within us, and the voice goddess lives within each and every one of us. So, who is the voice goddess? That is my most favorite question to answer. Okay, so the voice goddess is actually the archetype that is, made through the culmination of all the beautiful, powerful, divine feminine attributes in a person. Okay, so it could be intuition, it could be creativity, imagination, receiving, compassion, wisdom, courage, because women are fearless. So, all of those attributes, when you sort of imagine that there's one archetype or one goddess who holds all those attributes, obviously it's the divine feminine, but when she reflects in your voice and communicates through your voice, then it's the voice goddess speaking through you. So, there's a voice goddess in you, there's a voice goddess goddess in me.
Mhm.
And I feel like I've been put on this earth to literally awaken the voice goddess, within whoever is ready, willing, and open to do so. It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be a child, it could be a non-binary person. It really doesn't matter. Whoever is willing to then communicate from that place and own their voice and actually share their unique message in this world and make an impact and change in this world. Because each of us is so unique. We all have something so specific that we've been through. We have a specific message, a specific sort of change that we can bring to this world. And then when we sort of, communicate that in our with using our voice goddess, then obviously the impact is going to be like massive.
Yeah, and I love how the different the different attributes of the feminine, and and I am right on board also with that. Everyone has the feminine within them. We have the
Yeah.
feminine and the masculine within all of us, and I love putting a voice to that,
Yeah.
especially. And yeah, our intuition, our creativity, courage, receiving. I love my favorite one is flow.
Beautiful. Yes,
That's one of
absolutely.
mine. I try to live in that, and and like a river,
Yeah.
and you have your rocks, that you have to go around. You've got your waterfalls. You've got sometimes the river is slow, sometimes it's rushing. Anyway, I love that imagery in my mind. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So why is what we're talking about in all of this is voice mastery, and why is that such a game changer for visionary women?
I feel like visionary women are already in a position of power, not because just because they have money or status, but because they can bring about change. They can shift situations from the status quo and actually be the trailblazers who can move forward and create a completely new way of doing things, or a new way of being, or new way of working, new way of empowering others. So they're the ones who need to really tap into the voice goddess within, because then they're going to receive those they're probably already receiving very, very powerful intuitive downloads, because I'm sure they're very connected, to the divine, to the universe, whatever you want to call it. But having said that, when they're able to fully integrate that into their voice, because very many times I've been through my personal journey where I've had amazing ideas, intuitive nudges and downloads, but then there is my conditioning, there is my somatic blocks, there is my, or sort of mental blocks, or or confidence blocks that have stopped me from actually putting that into practice. So my vision or my intuitive nudges have stayed that way for a while, and it's taken me a while to get to the point of taking action and actualizing them. So I feel like visionary women, I don't think they have very much time to waste, because they're in such positions of power. They're probably people who have public lives, they're in the public eye, so they can actually make these game changing decisions if they communicate from the depths of their life, like they communicate like a voice goddess.
Oh, love that. I love voice goddess. I'm I want to definitely know more about that, just for me personally.
Definitely. For sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So why is influential speaking? Why is it the need of the hour?
Yeah, I think it is the only sort of speaking that's actually working nowadays, right? Because, I mean, what is public speaking anyway nowadays? Because we're all on social media. We're literally like, extensions of the screen now, Everyone's on a podcast. Everyone's, has their YouTube channel. Everyone's on Instagram on camera. So I feel like, public speaking and the rarity of public speaking as an art, has completely reduced or diluted and gone away. Literally, it's a thing of the past, because even little children are doing like TikTok videos, and they don't need any help with public speaking, so to speak. I mean, they may be underconfident, but they kind of go with the flow. So influential speaking is, again, something that I consider, it's like responsibility and power together.
Mm,
Like, you are responsible, you have to be responsible enough to put out there a thought process, or an energy signature that is responsible for today's world, because we all know we live in a world which is full of conflict, which is full of divisiveness. There is no, people don't want to be inclusive. They want to be more and more and more exclusive. So obviously, influential speaking is what puts you, in the place of responsibility. It gives you great power, which is why, today when I scroll on Instagram, I'm delighted to see so many awake and embodied feminine voices, and they're actually changing the way people think, you know. And that is the only kind of speaking that can actually make a difference in today's day and time. So people getting, like, when I got onto the TEDx stage to give my first, TED talk, I was like, this is a position of responsibility and power at the same time. And how can I carry both those and really communicate from the depths of my life, not just for the audience in front of me, but for those countless people who are going to watch my YouTube video for posterity. It's going to stay there forever and ever and ever, as long as YouTube is alive. And I need to remember that and show up like that, so I think influential speaking is the only way for us to really shift things.
Oh, absolutely. And you spoke a minute ago about the blocks.
Yes.
Um, and I realize I'm sure it's a process, for people to learn to, I'm not going to know if I'm going to use the right word, but overcome those blocks or um, could I- might there be a thought or something that you could share with us, that so someone is going to be giving some kind of speech, and maybe they're
Mhm.
not feeling as confident, and of course they haven't worked with you yet, so they're not the expert yet, and they've not
Right.
into their full becoming. um, but is there, something that you share with your clients that say, if you're going to be doing this, remember this, or is it a
Mhm.
process or something? Just I'd love just a little taste that we could walk
Sure.
away with.
So I'll give you something which is super potent, but really simple, because that's what becomes so effective, right? Something simple, but really and potent. When they're married together, that's when you get effective. So I feel like if someone had to give their first TED talk and the person felt like, okay, my script is great, I've written it properly, I have to put it committed to memory. That's the rule of TED. You can't read.
Mm.
So, I've committed it to memory, but I'm super nervous about two, three things. One, I don't know whether I'd be able to hold my own in front of so many people. Once that spotlight is on me and I'm standing on the red dot, I don't know what will happen. Once I get a little frazzled, what if I forget the words and I freeze and I keep staring at them? Okay. And the third thing is, will people like it or will they judge me? Will they even clap after I'm done? So these are the regular common insecurities that somebody might have. And it doesn't matter if, the woman is really successful or if the man is very successful, they have a great following or whatever. Everyone feels these nerves. And I would say something really simple is, one, just sit in silence, close your eyes, sit in silence and talk to what do I call them, things, talk to two entities. Okay, one is your talk. Make your TED talk into, like, like somebody or something that you can speak to, and then also bring in, like, so it's a three-way conversation. So there's you in the center, sitting in the center in the silence. Maybe on the left is your TED talk as an entity that you can speak to, and maybe on the right you want to bring forth the most powerful version of you who's already nailed the TED talk. Like, she has been so good that her TED talk has already gone viral. Okay, and sit and have a very peaceful three-way conversation, and see what sort of wisdom comes through. Ask the speech or the talk, how do you want to come across? I want to come across as revolutionary, trailblazing, life-changing, powerful. Okay, and then you ask this woman, then how did you make it revolutionary and powerful? I focused, I stopped overthinking, I just started breathing deeper. So these are the golden nuggets which no coach or mentor or other speaker can provide you. Only you can provide yourself. So, because then when you do that and you actually sit in silence, and, if you want, you can even connect yourself to the light before sitting, in silence. You can connect both these entities to the light as well. And what will happen is that your voice goddess will start speaking to you. And her wisdom is incredible, always on point, spot on. and absolutely powerful. It is the ultimate wisdom that you want and seek. So that's a small little exercise that I would, take someone through, and that would make them feel very empowered. Also, all the subconscious thoughts which are, frazzling that person, bogging down their mind, they would all start integrating. First, they'd come to the surface because, I can always tell the speech, but speech, I'm scared. How do I give you? And then speech was like, but you've done this before. You had conferences where you spoke to 50 people. Today you're speaking to 5,000. It's the same thing. So all those insecurities, those limiting beliefs will come to the surface, and both these entities, for lack of a word, would actually address them. And then, maybe once you're done with this so-called meditation, you can write down that guidance. And then once you have insight, our body is very quick to catch up. The integration starts at a very deep level, you know.
Absolutely. I'm a proponent of visualizations, which, I
Absolutely.
took that to be. I often go back and I'm processing some childhood trauma from when I
Mhm,
was very young. And so I
mhm.
do a lot of that for me today, speaking to
Right.
my little girl, my
Yeah,
little self.
yeah.
Yeah, and it is powerful. And yeah. Woo, I'm getting teary-eyed because it's when something is truth is a big thing for me. And so when
Happens to me
something
all
is
the time.
true, it's
Right.
I and now I have goosebumps. So we're right on the money here.
And there's another thing since we're on the topic, and this is something that I actually only the clients who've worked with me and people who are close to me know. So years ago, I would say almost say 1.5 decade ago, there was a goddess, there was a divine feminine goddess that was consecrated in India. Okay, and what happened is that I happened to be part of the consecration process. Now, what is consecration? Is when you bring that. So, if it's an idol or if it's like a construction of sorts, a form, I would say, a physical form, it is brought to life. It is energetically activated for it to then hold the energy that it holds. And then when people come, they partake in that energy. And because they have faith in that form, that energy continues to amplify and multiply and becomes like a protective environment or layer around that person. So I'm speaking in a very a very general fashion. I'm not bringing religion or anything into it. I'm bringing a very simple fashion. So this goddess was consecrated, and I was part of the process. I was there. It was about 3 to 4 nights that the process went
Mm,
on for. It's very, very beautiful, very in-depth alchemical process using the elements of nature, using chants and mantras, so basically sound energy. And you also kind of really you actively using the life force of the people sitting in front of them, because when people are alive, they are brimming with life force. So amplifying their life force and then sort of then putting into that form, so that that form for for like posterity can hold that energy and becomes like this form that is the goddess form that people can come and then sort of connect with. So when the goddess literally came to life, and I was very young then, but I did not understand so many terms. I don't think I could have described this in any way in those days, but now I can. So I feel like her entire, like when she came to life, so to speak, like you can feel it because the energy changes and everything. And it's like maybe 15, 20 years ago, I'd be scared that, oh my God, what's happening? Because I don't know these things. But it was a very simple, loving process, and very like gently done. And when she came to life, and I just had the smile on my face, and I was like, wow, are you trying to tell me that maybe this tiny bit of my life force went into that? So like a part of me is in her and she is within me, and we're connected. And then that thought kind of it came to me and it left me. And then my life after that, for the, I would say, the past 15 or 14 years, incredibly difficult. Like I went through everything possible that was, supposed to be, that I considered that, oh my God, I would never be able to survive this. All of that happened. Okay. And it happened one after the other in a series of events. And I was like, what is going on? This can't be my life. I'm no one's cutting me a break. It's been like more than a decade. What's going on? And it went on and on and on and on. And then, I found her again during COVID. We were all in lockdown, and I sort of started to connect with this goddess again. And as I started to connect with her, in the beginning, there was resistance because I hadn't connected with her for a very long time. So there was resistance on my part saying, this feels old and I don't even think I should be doing this anymore. But hell, anyway, I'm sitting at home. Why not? So I did that. And then as I continued to connect with her from 2020, 2021 onwards, the connection amplified. First it opened up. It's literally the stages of my program. So anyone who comes to me, I always say, I want to activate the voice goddess within you. Once she is sorry I want to awaken the voice goddess within you. Once she's awake, I want to activate the voice goddess within you. Once she's activated, I want to empower her, and then I want you to amplify her voice. And that's the fourth state. So that's exactly what happened with my connection. The sleeping connection was awakened, then it became all active, and I started wanting to communicate with her. And then, sort of our communication was forged and empowered. And then finally, I kind of realized and arrived at this point where I realized that I must have an immersion called the voice goddess immersion. And then the amplification is still, it's going on. So very many times, without realizing, without even wanting to, when I am with a client or when I am connecting with a group of, women that I'm working with, I start to channel this particular goddess. And it happens so naturally that I don't even realize it. And when that happens, the only reason I know it's happening is because my body temperature changes a little bit. It becomes warmer or hotter sometimes. And then I start saying things that I know I have never read anywhere. And I also start help shifting things for people really quickly. And I'm like, wow, this is not me. And I think that for me is the most humbling, gratifying, at the same time, extremely powerful and significant experiences of my life when I know it's not me. And I'm so happy and proud to say it's not me. Like I don't even want to take the credit. So this is just something I wanted to share with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're being of service and you're being a channel
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
divine. And I've had a few of those experiences where, saying things that I don't even know what I'm talking about because it's not me talking.
Right.
So, yeah, and I love your steps. Awaken, activate, empower, and amplify. And I really love the amplify part. That just really speaks, right?
Yeah,
Well,
that's the best.
right? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, so I'd love to translate this into something else. So, why or how does voice mastery equal wealth mastery? If you could talk about that.
So I feel like, just like we have our own energy signature, which can then be translated into our voice, which is anyways being translated into our voice, but we can, sort of engineer it to be expansive so that we can make an impact in the world. Similarly, we all have a relationship with money or wealth. Okay. And that relationship is pretty much in sync with our own energy signature. So let's say my energy signature was that of lack and low self-worth. That was coming out through my communication skills and through the way I was communicating or through the way I was talking about money, through the way I was communicating my pricing to, say, maybe my clients, or to a corporate training that I went to and I was undercharging, or whatever it is. Like those are the practical instances. But when I show up as my embodied self, and I don't even have to name the number, I just smile and say, okay, I'm going to send you the contract and it'll be done. And whatever the number is, it's taken for granted that, they are just going to say yes to it. That for me then has also changed the way I'm communicating about and to my money, right? Like I'm not showing distrust towards my money. I'm not like, money, will you come? Money, I'm stressed out. Money, why are you doing this to me? So, because I've let go of the victim consciousness in myself, firstly, that's translated into my voice. And I think a lot of money has to do with communication. It doesn't mean that, we are constantly talking, speaking out loudly to money. We're always speaking to money here. We're always speaking to money here. Our body is speaking about money. You spoke about childhood trauma. There must have been so many somatic blocks within me from my childhood, which have to do with money and receiving and abundance and prosperity. So, money, I feel like wealth is also about communication with wealth and to self and to the universe. Because ultimately, I might kid myself, oh, that company is paying me so well and blah, blah, but it's the universe providing for me. So it is about communication. It's about how I view it, how I address it, how I acknowledge it, because money also requires a lot of acknowledgement. Every time I receive even the smallest or the tiniest amount in my account, I may not write to anybody or send an email out, but in my heart I'm like, oh, thank you for coming. This was just the time I needed to pay that, so thank you, this is great timing. So there's always communication happening. So let's say, I'm going to a restaurant with my friends and I decide, okay, today everything's on me. And when I'm swiping my card at the end and paying and clocking out of that place, obviously, while I'm swiping the card, there is a thought in my head, oh, this place is expensive. Oh, they've raised the price of the beverages. Okay, the alcohol's become expensive. I'm not going to tell that to my friends, but there's communication happening. But I could shift that communication and say that, oh wow, I had such a grand time, I can't wait to come back with my friends. So there's always communication going on with money at all times. I look at this beautiful house on my way home and I'm like, wow, what a beautiful mansion. And then I'm gonna be like, it's not for me. That's communication. Or, oh my God, I'm gonna have it. That's communication. So money and communications all the time, all the time, all the time. Either out loud, in your head, emotionally, somatically. So yeah.
Well, and don't you think that that is more powerful, that that conversation? I mean, yes,
Hmm.
you could have a conversation with a friend, but don't you feel that that conversation that you are having or I am having internally, don't you
Right.
I would think that would be more powerful.
Absolutely, because the inner conversation is something that one, you can't let go of it, you can't fake it. Like I could go tell my friends I have a great relationship with money. I know what I have, when I'm being and but when I learn to be true to myself and I'm operating from an authentic embodied voice, my mental conversation, my emotional conversation, my somatic energy, my energetic conversation is all going to be aligned. So I'm going to be like this
Mm.
person who's aligned, you know. It's like, to give you a very simple example, like a lot of people are very different when they talk to their children. The same people are very different when they talk to their employees or their staff at home. And those people are very different when they talk to people in positions of power, because they feel they need to be somebody somewhere that's good for them or that'll help them, or that comes from conditioning that, oh, my childhood, I've been told to speak in this way to elderly people, and I've been told to speak in this way with children. But the person who is the same everywhere is a person who is really being himself or herself, and that person has a lot of power, a lot of power. And this I can say from experience, because when I was in radio, I was told that at that point I was very young. So I was told that your voice sounds like a kid. So I was very conscious of sounding like a schoolgirl. So I used to put on this accent and this tonality of being a very mature person. I don't know how much I succeeded. I was 21 years old, but I started doing that. And then I was always in doubt while hosting in the first, I'm talking about the first few months. And later on, of course, I fixed all of that. And then, I'm being brought up in the Indian culture. I was very different at home with my elders and with my extended family. It was always like, yes, how can I help you? I may not say those words, but that's my body language, that's my tonality, that's my smile. It's always that of being welcoming, well behaved, respectful, never overstepping. So I was that person. And with my friends, I used to let my hair down a little bit, to be a little quirky, a little bit like, cocky at times, and stuff like that, which is all different aspects of my personality playing out where they feel comfortable enough. And when I started this work back in, I would say, 2004. So almost more than 20 years now. So in 2004, when I started this work, I slowly started to integrate parts of me and find out who I really am, you know, and how I can bring all of me to every place. And not have exclusive, oh, this is only for the family, this is only for the friends, this is only for performance, and then that made me a more embodied, a more full-bodied, a more multifaceted radio show host, because now I could touch upon different topics. I could bring different aspects of my wisdom and my personality to the fore, rather than, wanting to please people with a certain tonality and a certain voice. And I stopped being afraid of saying certain things in front of my friends or even my family. It was a very big deal for everyone. They went through a crazy adjustment curve. I wasn't rude. I was just myself and absolutely fearless. So that was a big adjustment coming from this really people-pleasing, timid, Indian girl. And then suddenly I'm this powerhouse, who has a voice. Like in a lot of families, even today in our culture, just a woman having a voice is absolutely an abnormality. So yeah. That kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, and there are so many different aspects of voice.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily what's coming out of your mouth.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
And I mean, I've thought about it, but I didn't really think about it. If that makes any sense. And
absolutely. No, I agree
right?
with you because a lot of people say that to me and I always tell them that, don't worry, I'm here for that because I do this. I live and breathe and dream voice. In fact, like singers have come to me, and I'm like, listen, I'm trained in music, but that doesn't mean I'm capable of teaching you how to sing. I sing for myself. It sounds pretty good, and that's the end of it. And they're like, that's not what we're here for. I said, you want me to give you voice exercises so that your voice sounds better? They're like, no, we want to bring all of ourselves into our song.
Mhm.
We want to sing like literally, we want to sing with every cell in our body and all of our energy and all of our life force. And I'm like, that I can help you with.
So
And
it's
the
like
same.
art
Yeah,
in that, artists, when they make a painting or any kind of whatever their medium is,
yeah.
it's how it makes you feel.
Mm.
That's when you
What
know
is
that
it?
your art is doing its job, so to speak.
Yeah, like
And
what energy signature are you injecting into your art, whether it's a song, it's a dance, or it's an acting performance, or
yes.
a radio show? Like, what is it that I still remember to date? A lot of people tell me whenever you were on radio, there were three things that really stood out for us. One, you were really friendly and very kind. But at the same time, he was super aspirational for all of us because it wasn't like because you were friendly and kind, you never felt like one of us. It was just somebody who was so respectful, so kind, so inclusive, but you always had something higher, wiser to say, even in the lightest of moments. And I'm like, thank you. I forget because it's been so long. But thank you if you remember that. And I think that was my energy signature that I was sort of, literally infusing into the airwaves, just putting it out there in the world for whoever wants can just catch it.
Right. So and I'm taking away again, so it's the meaning and the feeling that you're bringing to yourself and then sharing that with others.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
because I'm a firm believer is you have to do it for yourself first.
Yeah.
And
That is
not
the beginning.
that, and I always like to say what I need to learn is what I need to teach, or what I
Yes.
need to teach is what I need to learn. That's
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
right, right, right. So I have so many more questions. I have a couple more. Um, so if you could sum up what your work stands for.
I think I want to be seen as someone who is, while I might call myself a feminine voice authority, that's just something which I feel, completely those three words explain what I stand for. But I just want to be like the awakener, activator, empowerer, and amplifier of the most powerful voices of people across the world. So, and these are not, I mean, though I do work with people, who are living a public life and who are in the public eye, I want these to be people who are literally like the ethical value creators of this world, and they could be from any field. They could be like, and I know that, most people don't like politicians, but they could be ethical politicians, They could be value creating. politicians. They could be trailblazing women in different fields of endeavor. They could be children, who, because I feel like children, I also have an educational business where I work with schools and such. So I have seen more than 8,000, case studies of students. And I know that children are carriers of deep wisdom, which they probably don't know how to articulate yet. So they could be kids, but I mean, I just want to be the person who is somehow instrumental in celebrating and bringing to the fore these powerful voices. And I also sometimes call myself, the global authenticator and the global amplifier, because very many times, because of the way I've made my energy signature and because of the kind of person I am, so because of my work, I'm blessed with, I would say, I'm saying blessed, I'm blessed with staying alone for a lot of hours in the day, because it's just me and the laptop, right? Because I'm with clients or I'm writing something, which is content or whatever. So when I actually do go out and socialize or do meet with family and stuff, just because I forget that this is who I am. But for them, it's always like, they're always like, how is she like this? Like, how is she so real? Like, what keeps her ticking to be so real all the time? And then moment they come in contact with my energy or I'm having a conversation, I've always seen it's literally like I can actually see their masks just fall, and they just like settle down and they become themselves. It's no longer like I'm trying to hold the fort, I'm trying to keep this mask on. So I always, joke that I'm the global authenticator. I walk into like a room or a group of people and suddenly everyone's just getting real. And then I don't know what it is, but people who are at the brink of transformation, when they're at the point where they're just about to go into the next level of impact or transformation, somehow those people always come into my orbit. And then the moment they start talking to me, like once they start talking to me, before they've completed what they're saying, I know that they are there. And I will, for some reason, be able to say something which will just amplify their voice and confidence to another level. And I'm like, I was just trying to be sweet and believe in you. But that's just what happened, that kind of a thing. And so that's always like, I like to think that, it'd be interesting. I mean, these are just tags I give myself. They're good, they make me happy. But I do hope that they are true in some way or the other, and they actually, I'm able to actualize these two things. So, yeah.
Well, I actually we're almost in a similar business in that uh in that yeah, I call myself a town crier for
Oh,
individuals. I want, people need to know about you and know what your work is. And because you're a pebble in a pond,
yes.
and you never know, who it's going to affect. And oh, I'm just so glad I've had this opportunity to meet with you. And
Same.
and
Thank you so much. And thank
yeah.
you for, like being so diligent about this podcast and giving a platform to women like me. I'm in some remote corner of the world compared to you. And, the fact that we're talking is literally magical for me. Given the hour, it's like 1:12 at night. And, like I'm so full of energy. I'm so excited that I've forgotten what sleep is, while I've had a very long day. I've worked for more than 13 hours today. But thank you for giving us this wonderful platform. It is incredibly powerful what you're doing.
Well, and thank you. And, talk about, having a vision and a mission. That's why I'm here. And
Absolutely.
so I so appreciate you being with me, staying up late.
I loved it.
And
I loved it.
for everybody watching, I'm going to put uh, Rema's information down below with links to find out how to work with her, find out more about her work and what an amazing woman she is, and
Thank you. Thank you
what
so
gift
much.
she's giving to all of us. So,
Thank you. And I have to say that the timing for this podcast is so opportune because we're beginning a new calendar year. And for most of us who are energy sensitive, we know that, this beginning of the year is not just like any other beginning of the year. There's been a lot of closings and endings that happened in 2025. And this is literally like a lot of us are receiving a brand new clean slate. And I also feel like I am at the brink of my next level. I'm almost there, like 1 foot there. So there's going to be a lot of changes in the way I work with people. The magnitude's going to amplify, the mediums and channels are going to be bigger and better. And I think this is a beginning for me. This is my first interview or first interaction and podcast of the year. So thank you for starting me off with a bang.
Oh, well, I'm glad to do it.
Cool.
And again, thank you so much for coming to us from on the other side of the planet. And I just, you are going to do great things. So thank you
Thank
for
you
giving
so
us your
much.
time today.
Thank you. I'm so, so honored, glad, and grateful to be here. And I do hope that everyone who listens to us finds this interaction value creating and impactful and transformational. And you know where to find us. We're always here for you, Tara and I.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Be sure to join us next time, where we continue to cultivate feminine power, explore potential, and provide information and tools to elevate your life. In the meantime, visit our website at thefemininewave.org or follow us on our YouTube channel at The Feminine Wave to watch other episodes, share what resonated from today's episode, and suggest future topics. Your feedback is imperative in helping reach more women seeking to reclaim their essence. Until then, catch the swell of the feminine wave and continue creating the life you deserve. This is Tara Becker signing off. Take care, and we'll see you on the airwaves.